Welcome to the club! Hello guys! In this episode we continue talking about Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, and today we're going to discuss chapters from 6 till 10.
Summary. On Dill's last night in makeup, he and Jim decide to peep in the Boo Radley's window and Scout joins them. Mr. Nathan Radley comes out and fires a shotgun. The children run, but Jim gets caught on the fence and he kicks his pants off to get loose. At home, Jim tells Scout that he's going back to the Radleys to get his pants. Scout fears for his life, but Jim would rather risk life than admit to Atticus that he lied. School starts again. Jim and Scout again find things in the Radley's tree, and they decide to write a thank you note to the person who leaves the gifts. When they try to deliver the note, they find that the note hole has been filled with cement. It snows in makeup. Jim and Scout build a snowman. Miss Modi's house burns to the ground, and Jim and Scout are sent to wait in front of the Radleys while the fire is still raging. Boo Radley puts a blanket around Scout's shoulders, but she doesn't notice it.
Okay, I'll continue. Atticus takes on the defense of a black man, leading to tension and conflict in the community. Scout finds herself in trouble after getting into a physical fight at school, causing Atticus to have a serious talk with her about the importance of empathy and understanding. Uncle Jack Finch visits Scout's family, and all of them spend Christmas at Finch's Landing with Aunt Alexandra and her family. Francis, Alexandra's grandson, starts teasing Scout about Atticus defending a black man. Scout fights Francis and gets in trouble with Uncle Jack. Later, she talks to Uncle Jack and tells him why he was wrong. Scout overhears Atticus and Uncle Jack talking about Tom Robinson's trial starting soon. Jem and Scout are disappointed that their father Atticus is not as active as other fathers because he is almost 50 years old. However, their opinion of him changes when they see him shoot a mad dog. In comparison with the first chapters, here much more events happen. Let's talk about them. I have written out several sentences from this part that I found interesting and that I would like to discuss. So the first one is, Scout, I'm telling you for the last time, shut your trap or go home. I declare to the Lord, you're getting more like a girl every day. Last time I forgot to discuss that, for example, Dill and Jem started to spend more and more time together without Scout, and in this part also there are several instances, several examples when Scout is kind of like shamed for being a girl or for being not enough girl. I would like to know what you think about the fact that, for example, the children played together, but then boys decided that they don't want the company of a girl. And what do you think when people shame a girl for being a girl or for being not enough girl?
Well, I think that in case of Jim, it was not shaming her. It was partly shaming, but the main fact here, I think that he's getting older, and it's quite natural, I think, so for teenagers to change their behavior and to change their attitude to different people. Maybe it's not that terrible because it's just some peculiarities of the age, I think. Maybe that's why he wants to spend more time with boys, to have their own community, and he doesn't want to let Scout in because she's a girl and sometimes she behaves in a different way and he doesn't understand it. But as for other people,
it was Aunt Alexandra.
Aunt Alexandra, yes. From her point of view, as a grown-up woman, of course, it's not appropriate because she says something like, you should behave this way because you are a girl, you should wear dresses and so on and so
I have some instances, let me read. So for example, first it was said by Uncle Jack, I think. Scout, you'll get in trouble if you go around saying things like that. You want to grow up to be a lady, don't you? I said not particularly. So Scout said that she didn't, in fact, really want to be a lady. And about Aunt Alexandra. Aunt Alexandra was fanatical on the subject of my attire. I could not possibly hope to be a lady if I wore breeches. When I said I could do nothing in a dress, she said I wasn't supposed to be doing things that required pants. First of all, I really like Atticus's behavior when he says that he likes his daughter the way she is. When Aunt Alexandra says some remarks on how she looks or behaves, I am very much upset when I read or just see some things when people tell you that you should behave this or that way only because you're a girl or you're a boy. In my opinion, people should be seen as if people, whether they do good things or bad things. Just as simple as that. I always get infuriated when I am told that I should behave this or that way ever since my childhood, because I have a brother, and my mother always also told me, for example, you should not sit on the couch with your feet on, because girls shouldn't do so. Why can my brother do it and I can't? Why is he okay doing some things and I am not okay doing some things? And I was always really angry about those things, and still I continue to be angry whenever I hear that some girls are told to behave some way only because they are girls, and society is looking forward for them to be like cute and obedient. And of course, again, with the boys, it's the same story. When the boys, for example, go and want to study ballet, they also don't get approval from the society, because the society thinks that ballet is for girls. And I strongly disagree with it. I think that a man can bake cakes if he wants. A girl can practice boxing if she wants. I also think that clothes is unisex. It doesn't matter whether boys wear pink t-shirts. I don't care. Really, you should do whatever you please. If a girl doesn't want to wear dresses, it's okay. If a boy wants to create flower bouquets, it's also okay. You can do whatever you want as long as you are a good person and do good things. That's what I think.
I agree with you, but I think that yes, so everything that you said is reasonable in modern world, and it's good that Harper Lee mentions this topic somehow. It's not the main topic here, but still she has it in her book, and it's great in my opinion. But I think that in old times, like several years ago even, it was more difficult to defend yourself against such prejudice and way of thinking. Yeah, you could, of course, you could express your opinion and you could say some things that you are against it, but there wasn't so much that you could do about that.
About the fact that boys wanted to spend more time with each other than with a girl. I also think it's a problem, because when you spend more time with the other gender and communicate, you start to understand each other better. And if you try not to communicate with them, or if you try to communicate only with your gender, only because later in life those two genders are going to understand each other less. And let's now talk about the big event of this part, when Miss Modi's house was burnt down. Unfortunately, Miss Modi puzzled me. With most of her possessions gone and her beloved yard a shambles, she still took a lively and cordial interest in Jem's and my affairs. Of course, I think it's a disaster when someone's house burns down and everything you had, and including the place of living, is gone, can make anyone go crazy. But Miss Modi, I was too old to take care about this big house, and I'm going to build myself a new, a better, a smaller one. Almost the next day, I think, she was kind of okay, and she got it very bravely. I admired this thing, and I think not many people can take such a situation as she did. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I also admire her that she's not upset, she is not crazy about that. She just admits it, and she takes the situation as it is, and she just thinks what she can do in this situation.
Of course, there are many situations in life that can break us down, but the more time we spend on crying and on being upset, the later we start doing something to change it. And she decided that she is not going to waste her time on such things as depression. Maybe they didn't know about such a concept at those days, but she decided not to spend her time on being depressed, on being upset, but she decided to start acting. And I completely adore this character ever since she started to be friends with Scout and making pies for them. Yes, it's very cute. So Atticus's words: because I could never ask you to mind me again, Scout. Simply by the nature of the work, every lawyer gets at least one case in his lifetime that affects him personally. This one's mine, I guess. You might hear some ugly talk about it at school, but do one thing for me, if you will. You just hold your head high and keep those fists down. No matter what anybody says to you, don't you let them get your goat. Try fighting with your head for a change. It's a good one, even if it doesn't resist learning. I think you also know very many examples when people get angry only by someone else's words, and many people get into fights and even kill someone only because someone insulted them personally or insulted their relatives or members of their family. And I, of course, don't approve of such behavior. I think we should think first before talking, but it's better not to react to insults and don't get into fights than get into them.
And I also love the way Scout reacts to his words, because we discussed in the first episode that he advised her to think how other people think in different situations, to understand how they think, what they want to do, what they expect from other people. In these chapters, she recalls his advice. I do not remember in which situation, but there was a moment I thought of Atticus' words and I tried to understand this person. And as you were talking about this particular phrase, somehow, if I fought Cecil, I would let Atticus down. Atticus so rarely asked Jim and me to do something for him, I could take being called a coward for him. It shows her attitude, and it shows that she respects him and she listens to what he is saying to her, and it makes me admire him even more because he has such a great contact with his daughter. The moment with Snow, so Scout said, "The world's ending, Atticus, please do something." I directed him to the window and pointed. "No, it's not," he said, "it's snowing." Maybe it was not the biggest moment in their life, so yes, it's unusual, but it is just nature. But when I read it for the first time, when I read this book for the first time, and then I read some kind of analysis and some thoughts on it, I remember that the author of that analysis said that this moment and this phrase, like, it's the end of the world, actually it divides the book in two parts.
Really?
And yes, and after I read it, I really looked at the book one more time, and I found that yes, it does divide it, because like the first part, we just learned some information about their town, their family, their neighbors, the people in Macomb, and so on. But after Snow, we found out that Atticus is defending a black person, and really the
Miss
world,
Moody's house burns down.
the world changes after this moment of snowing.
I didn't know it. I didn't see this event as you describe it, but
Yes, I also didn't notice it, because for me it was, well, okay, they build a snowman, cool. What can I say?
yes.
Yeah, nothing really special for me. But when I read this analysis, I thought that yes, actually, it matters here in this book. Also, I have this. Abstract, we are fighting our friends, but remember this, no matter how bitter things get, they are still our friends, and this is still our home. I also admire these words, because sometimes we cannot affect the situation, and sometimes we really fight with someone and who can be our friend actually, but we still should remember that our quarrel may end one day, and we will live in the same world, and we will need to communicate with them.
So these days, when I start getting into fights with anyone, I try to stop it as soon as I can, because I understand that maybe I'm going through a difficult period in my life, and maybe this person is going through a difficult period in his or her life too. That's why we just had this fight. But it is what it is, yes.
And I want to talk about a conversation between Atticus and Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack told Atticus that your daughter gave me my first lessons this afternoon. She said I didn't understand children much, and told me why. She was quite right. Atticus, she told me how I should have treated her. Oh dear, I'm so sorry I romped on her. And again, I love this moment a lot, because first of all, the whole book shows that Atticus treats his children like grown-up people, and I think it's the best way of upbringing, when you do not just say, oh, okay, you're a child, you do not understand it, so I won't explain. He explains things to her and to Jim, of course, and that's why she knows a lot, and she can give some lessons to her uncle. And it's not only about Scout. I think that we can learn a lot of things from children if we treat them like grown-up people.
I didn't write this out, but I remembered now that there was also a moment when Atticus said that he started late. And personally, I think that it's better to have children later in your life than earlier, because if you are young, you are not ready to talk about some things with children. You don't know how to explain it to them. Sometimes maybe if even you yourself don't know some things yet. But Atticus already had his personality, and he knew things, a lot of them, to explain and to teach those things to his children.
And it was about the name of this book, like the
yes,
the abstract with the phrase "to kill a mockingbird." Shoot all the blue jays you want if you can't hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy. They don't eat up people's gardens, don't nest in corn cribs. They don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. We can use the name of the book when we discuss the whole book, because there will be some moments that we can apply this name to. But still, in this chapter, it is explained why it is bad to kill a mockingbird.
The situation with the air rifles. I'm not a big fan of such presents to children, especially that are connected somehow with harming anything. And the thing that they say that it's okay to shoot blue jays, it's okay to shoot them. I think, guys, it's not okay to shoot anything living. Like no birds, no squirrels, no nothing.
Yes, and about Atticus' attitude to hunting and all these things, it was said maybe he put his gun down when he realized that God had given him an unfair advantage over most living things. I guess he decided he wouldn't shoot till he had to, and he had to today. So it was about the mad dog.
It is really true that people have advantage over many other living beings, but I believe we should be responsible for this advantage and think about how we can take care of those who are not as strong, for example, or not as smart as we are. So we are going to discuss the vocabulary now. Will you please start?
Okay, so my first word will be Jim Dandy. It means an excellent or very pleasing person or thing. He seemed surprised when he saw most of the backyard in the front yard, but he said we had done a Jim Dandy job. It was about the snowman.
My first phrase is going to be to hone down. It is a slang for focusing on, perfecting, or determining a location of something. Atticus suggested that Jem hone down his creation's front a little, swap a broom for the stove wood, and put an apron on him.
My next word is jiffy. It means a very short time. Miss Modi said, "Thank you, sir, but you've got a job of your own over there." She pointed to our yard. "You mean the morphodite?" I asked. "Shoot, we can rake him up in a jiffy."
I, frankly speaking, wrote out this word morphodite. It's a comic slang version of hermaphrodite. And a hermaphrodite is an animal or flower that has both male and female reproductive organs. My next is going to be to have a thin time of it. So the first meaning is to have bad or unhappy experiences, and the second one is to be in a difficult situation, especially because one does not have enough money. I have the second also phrase in this abstract is to let fly. If you let fly, you attack someone either physically by hitting them or with words by insulting them. And the abstract is, you can just take that back, boy. This order given by me to Cecil Jacobs was the beginning of a rather thin time for Jem and me. My fists were clenched and I was ready to let fly.
I have the word obstreperous. Means difficult to deal with and noisy. And why do I not understand children, Miss Jean Louise? Such conduct as yours required little understanding. It was obstreperous, disorderly, and abusive.
To run a still. The action of running a still is where someone had an illegal brewery of moonshine within their house for either themselves or the public. And moonshine is whiskey that is made illegally. Then why did Cecil say you defended niggers? He made it sound like you were running a still.
The next phrase I have on tenterhooks. Worried or nervous about something that is going to happen. Atticus chuckled. She earned it, so don't feel too remorseful. I waited on tenterhooks for Uncle Jack to tell Atticus my side of it.
My next one is to cuss, which means to say words that are not polite because you are angry. So, to swear. Don't pay any attention to her, Jack. She's trying you out. Kel says she's been cussing fluently for a week now.
And my last phrase will be get your goat. So it means to upset or irritate someone. No matter what anybody says to you, don't you let them get your goat. Try fighting with your head for a change.
And my last is going to be to strike one's fancy, which means to seem interesting or pleasing to someone. And the abstract is quite long, but I'm going to read it. Talking to Francis gave me the sensation of settling slowly to the bottom of the ocean. He was the most boring child I ever met. As he lived in Mobile, he could not inform on me to school authorities, but he managed to tell everything he knew to Aunt Alexandra, who in turn unburdened herself to Atticus, who either forgot it or gave me hell, whichever struck his fancy. Okay, so we are done with the vocabulary. Anything else to add on this part? No, nothing. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We're going to continue discussing this book next time. We're going to leave all our contacts in the description below. Live long.
And hold your head high and keep your fists down.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Все? Готово?
Ой, да нет, конечно же.
Нет, но да.
Как она читается?
Cement. Да что такое сегодня, да?
Как это там сказать?
Way of thinking, way of
Да, но я уже
mindset.
сказала way примерно 300 тысяч раз за сегодня.
Ничего.
Короче, it is traditional. Все.
Все, всем спасибо за просмотр. До свидания.
Goodbye. See you next time,
На сегодня
maybe.
5 минут и хватит.
Change. We cannot change the situation. We cannot... Да блин, это situation. Стало, что у меня way situation. Я больше слов не знаю. Another. Late. Блин, что я хочу сказать? I need to pronounce it properly. They... that... No matter... Сейчас, еще раз. Раз, два, три.
Pleasant or pleasant. Я не буду до конца дочитывать. Этого хватит, я думаю, уже. All our context.
And hold your head high. Я уже забыла, пока ты
And
говоришь.
keep your fists down.
Hold your head high and keep your fist down.
Okay.